Joining me now from Miami for analysis is Remi Piet. He's senior partner at consulting firm Embellie Advisory. Welcome back to the program, Remi.
It's a pleasure.
So, what struck you most about these talks?
Well, what's very interesting, obviously, is the start of this summit and the question of looking at the antagonistic position from the U.S. administration, met very strongly, obviously, by the Chinese delegation and resulting in some standoff and trying to understand it. Obviously, there's the interest of looking at it from the first giving signals to your domestic basis, and it's very important in the U.S. for the Biden administration to show they're strong against China because they will face criticism from other political parties and obviously the Republicans if they do not. But I'm actually very enthusiastic about the fact that those issues were actually out of the way. The fact that you actually stand clearly on issues of disagreement publicly means that actually behind closed doors you can concentrate now on other issues where you can find some common grounds. And the fact that we had one specific working group that has been already specified, which is climate change, it reminds us of the fact that China and the US were able to agree on such a daunting issue at the Paris Accord during the Obama administration. What Vice President Biden was very important. Now President Biden was very important. So I'm actually quite optimistic towards looking at the next steps during this summit.
Very interesting. So Remi, do you think that both sides got what they wanted from these talks?
Well, the question is really to actually see the kind of basis and that you can have the dialogue for a series of years. The idea here is really for the incoming Biden administration to explain what could be the red lines, although that term is very complicated diplomatically. But being able to explain the routes for more clear dialogue. When you looked at how the talks were carried, you could see after the strong standoff, you had conversation of wanting to understand each other. Wanting to see where each part of the equation is coming from and what could be some common ground for moving forward. Again, climate change, the issue of tackling relationship on global growth, the impact on emerging markets, natural resources management. All those are issues where collaboration between those two powers are very important, and where I could see some steps coming in the next coming weeks and months.
So yes, you have those issues of common ground, but some difficult topics were brought up, particularly China's internal affairs. So how do you see the two sides overcoming these differences?
Well, obviously, it was not going to be at the first summit, and the summit where the host was the U.S. in Alaska, that you would actually cover issues of the domestic situation in China. It was not obviously in the first meeting between incoming administration that you would be looking for daunting changes and reforms in that country, which is completely considered as external interference on the Chinese perspective. Here we're more looking, and it was repeated several times, at actionable negotiations, being able to find some common grounds where with a cross-sectoral collaboration and a series of processes, you will be able to show a gathering of interest on key issues. The first one that comes to mind is not obviously the issues of domestic reforms in China. However, being able to work on reciprocities in terms of international investments, and we've seen a recent agreement from the European Union with China, and the US will continue on those talks obviously on their side. And again, as I was mentioning, a series of common interests in terms of transparency of supply chains, in terms of formalization of the economy, and energy and climate change are really high on the agenda on both administrations. So we will should see this for the next coming years.
Remi Piet, always good to speak with you. Thank you for your insight.
It's my pleasure.